When he's come up as a kid, Parramatta giving him an opportunity.
Yeah.
And their managers are out flogging him to other clubs.
Well, I thought, oh, I'm in trouble here. So.
You're wobbling at the start.
Well, you know what happened? Your right hand or your left hand, one of them's the accelerator and one's the brake, right? So I had no idea which was which.
I've had 2 training sessions for 7 weeks, and then we've had 3 internal games. And that was how our squad was selected.
This is the maddest place on the planet.
Dancing.
The only show where you're allowed to do it without shoes on.
Andrew Johns, one of the greatest players of all time.
Cuddles and kisses go a long way, especially when you're in trouble.
Oh, the horse has bolted. Look at the big fellow go in.
Imagine if he wanted to fire. They're very horny and very aggressive.
Are we allowed to put that to work?
Sydney, stay classy.
I love everyone for making me feel this good.
Welcome to Freddy the Eighth for another week. Great to have your company wherever you're watching us, and we're almost into round 10. It's flown by, hasn't it? Footy coming from Suncorp, Dolphins and Manly to kick off the round. Well, Andrew Johns, the 8th, is overseas. I mean, who'd go overseas halfway through the footy season? So we've called in the heavy-duty replacements, Brad Fittler and Darryl, the Big Marn Brohman. Great to see you, Big Marn.
It's great to be here. Love doing this great show.
You never
What's
done
it called? Freddy and the
8th.
Yes,
Freddy and the 88th.
I have seen it on a few occasions, but
What are your thoughts?
it's outstanding. What time's it on normally? I get very tired.
I don't know either.
I need to go to
don't
bed.
know either.
No, I love this great show because it's got a bit of kookiness in it and a bit of looseness and just that sort of stuff that suits
Well, that's
me a
why
little
you
bit.
fit.
Yeah, I hope so.
You're
I
a
hope I
good
can be.
fit.
I'm not quite as loose as Joey. I'm probably loose in different areas to
Yeah.
Joey, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, let's call Darryl the 88th immortal, shall we?
If I could be 88th, I'd be happy with that.
You two, you would have done a fair bit of work on the footy show together over the years. You're a regular.
Well, Freddie sort of came into rugby league sort of when I was commentating out at 2KA, the great 2KA. And what year did you start at Penrith?
89?
89, yeah. So I actually I coached for a year with Gus at Penrith. I didn't do anything. Yeah, I did. I was his assistant coach because I was living with him at the time and had to do something because we both got the flick from the Bulldogs, and Gus took me out to Penrith.
Yeah.
And Nick, well,
I never knew that.
He gave me his assistant coach's job and I didn't do anything.
Well, there you go. There's something we both have in common. I lived at Gus's house too.
How long did you
I
live
lived there
with
for about 3 months.
Did
Really?
you?
Yeah.
What were the circumstances of that?
Well, I was running amok.
Well, he was trying to keep you under control.
Yes. So pretty much because I was living in a house with some mates in South Penrith. It was.
This wasn't the one where you had the spa put in your
well,
own bedroom, was
no,
it?
this was the house after. This is once I got control of myself. So I was losing control, and he said, "All right, come and live with me." So I actually lived with Gus for a couple of months over the pre-season and did a good job.
Well, I had 12 months with him. Didn't pay rent.
Yeah,
Did you
right.
pay any rent?
Didn't pay no rent.
So how good's Gus?
I'll
like?
tell the story. Well, there's a little bit of GST, but the day I left was I walked upstairs and he was sitting there in his undies eating cheese twisties and a can of Coke, and I said, "I'm cured."
Time to go.
Yeah,
Time to leave. Now, obviously, Andrew Johns is having his little mid-season sabbatical. That'd be nice.
How do you do that?
He
Well,
just needs a break. The
just-
8th needs a rest.
But we have sent a camera crew with him. He's gone to the Cook Islands.
Have
Well, he loves his surfing. We've got some vision of what he's been up to.
Oh, good swell at Cook Islands.
Yeah.
Oh, is he all
He's
right?
taken that right on.
Oh, is that where he got hurt?
Is he
And,
okay?
well, look, this is the wash-up of all of this. This is day one of the eighth immortal.
He is mad.
Well, he's taken on the big wave, and that's what's happened.
I actually saw that. I thought it was his foot,
So did I.
the club foot.
Where's all his fingers gone?
He's lost some fingers.
You know what he reminded me of?
What?
Of a sloth. Don't they have he looked like a sloth foot or a sloth hand.
We'll get used to seeing things like that, like a sloth. You got one sitting next to you.
You live down sort of beachside. You ever been a surfer, Big Marn?
Mate, I've lived at Cronulla for 15 years now. I've been in the surf twice.
Why?
Don't even go for a swim. You don't even go for a
I've got a
swim.
pool. I've got a
Got
swimming
a pool.
Mate,
Yes.
do you think I'm going to parade myself around the beach in my sluggos?
Yeah, but you
down
can
at
wear like a T-shirt or something.
I'm not, mate. I do have one of those things that keeps the sun off you. One of those things.
A rash shirt.
vest.
A rashy.
I got a rash vest, but I even look fat in that.
Everyone looks fat
It's a
around.
white rash vest. Now, as you can see, I'm wearing mainly black here today, and black is slimming. Even though it's not doing a very good job, I'm just having a look at myself there. This
Why
black.
do you get onto Ozempic? Is it Ozempic?
Yeah.
We don't need that.
I don't want to do that because I don't trust it.
Yeah.
You know,
Mate,
I'm just
people are
happy to have
devouring
chips and pies
Ozempic.
and things like that. That'll do me.
That's
They
right.
are devouring it.
Well, it's footy food. You get trapped with the footy
Oh,
catering.
how
eh?
good is it?
Yeah.
Footy's
You know, Ozempic became, let's get back onto
Was.
that. It became the wealthiest brand in the world.
Have we got shares in it?
No, we should have. That was
You can't get hold of it anymore. And isn't it a drug that's supposed to help people
Diabetes.
with diabetes? So, but everyone's hogging it to lose weight. What about all the poor diabetics out there?
What if you're a fat diabetic? It'd be perfect, wouldn't it?
Would be Darryl.
They're diabeticing.
Just work beautifully.
We'll find out. Let's talk a little bit of footy. Is that okay? We'll find out what David Fifita's plans are in the next 24 hours. Will he head to Penrith and try and emulate the feats of the great Darryl Brohman back in the day? Will he be a Rooster? Will he be a Dragon? Might he stay a Titan? What do you think?
I think he'll leave. I think if it's in your contract, there's obviously thoughts in the back of his head that if they're not going any good, he'll want to leave. If I'm him, I'm leaving and going to Penrith. If it's in the deal, I want to win a comp. I mean, as a footballer, there's a lot of things you want to do. You want to play for your country, you want to play for your state. But you know what? At the end of the day, and we saw it on a clip leading into this, Freddie, with you, the very best thing you can do is win a competition. And if he goes to Penrith, I think he can win a comp.
They'd get and the Roosters
I'll tell
would
you
too.
what.
They'd get the best out of him, wouldn't
Could
they?
you imagine what? Well, he would go to Penrith like a Viliami Kikau. Viliami Kikau went as a strike weapon. He come as a kid from the Cowboys and went there as a strike back rower. He turned into a professional, work ethic, strike,
80 minutes.
ball playing. He's got it all now. Like, he's got it all. He doesn't only have the strike and the size and all that. He's back on side. He's taking runs. He does everything. Can you imagine if you could have that effect on Dave Fifita? Imagine how good he would be.
Well, Kikau's a tremendous defender too.
Yeah.
A really good defender. There's a grand final they won when he was at Penrith. I can't remember which one it was, but it might have been the middle one. He was tremendous that day defensively. And Fifita, to me, would just slot in there. I think he's a super player. I know he's got his critics out there. You know, a lot of people think, he's pretty lazy. But
He goes missing
he's
sometimes.
a good player.
Like, without a doubt. He can go missing, but, you know, he's also mostly the most powerful person in the game. So maybe he doesn't, you know, the genetics aren't quite there yet to be able to do it all, but Penrith they'll find out.
Would Penrith move him into the front row?
Well, I think he might have played there last week in the front row, and he did a hell of a job.
Towards the end of the game he played, he was fantastic.
For the Titans. He did a great job for them. You know what? I don't know if I'd put him in the front row. I think that they've got enough workhorses in that Penrith side to leave him in the back row for mine. In saying that, they've got a hell of a back row, Penrith, as well. He'll be in the squad. He'll be in the team.
So the back rows, you've got Liam Martin, obviously one side, and then the other side's been Scott Sorensen, Luke Garner, more workers than anything. Scott Sorensen can mostly move into the middle and play that role in the middle. Luke Garner mostly becomes a really good bench player, you know, and then all of a sudden he makes a huge difference to that team. And Penrith deserve a player like him, I think, from a point of view of, look what they've dished out to the comp over the last 4 years.
They've lost four great players. You know, Burton, Kikau, Crichton, and there's another one I can't remember.
Spencer Lino, Kurt Capewell.
Yes.
If you go back a few years, they've lost about 15 regular first graders. You know, they've lost enough to make up a quality outfit all by themselves.
Darryl
Fascinating to
Brohman.
see where he ends up.
Yeah, I retired a fair while ago.
Did you play more for Penrith or Canterbury?
Penrith. Well, I didn't play much for either. I kept getting injured, to be honest with you.
Oh, did you?
But I played Penrith.
Can you quickly tell the Gus story, you and Gus, when you was behind the goal line?
Yeah, well, that's a great story. We ended up finding our way to Canterbury. I decided to leave Penrith mainly because they didn't offer me a contract. And I thought, you know, that's a reasonable reason to leave. No money and they don't want you there anymore. So I ended up going to the Bulldogs. And anyway, had a good first year at the Bulldogs, even though I got injured early. Long story, won the comp in '84. Had a long off-season, went on trip away with the boys, Hawaii, All-America, put on about 10 kilos, come back. Really struggled with my weight. Anyway, playing reserve grade this day. We're playing Illawarra at Belmore. And in the old days at Belmore, at one end they had a train line, the other end they had I think it's houses in those days. We're playing Illawarra reserve grade, me and Gus, going like bastards. Anyway, like we had about 8 blokes who played state football, probably a couple of internationals, whatever, playing reserve grade. They had nobody. Half-time comes, we're down 28-0. This is the Steelers, this is just Illawarra, this isn't the Dragons. Anyway, coach gives us a rev up at half-time. We come out in the second half, we say, we can do this. If they can score 28, we can still do that. Within about 5 minutes of the half starting, they got a penalty kick for touch, winger in, me and Gus. They said, we'll smash this bloke. Ran straight between the two of us, scored under the stick. We waddle our way back behind the lines. We're up the end where the houses are. We're standing there waiting for this bloke to kick the goal. Next minute, we hear a window open, like... Yeah, so there's about 500 people there, so it wasn't hard to hear it. Next minute, one of the blokes puts his head out, one of these Lebanese bloke yells out, "Hey, girl, why don't you piss off back to Penrith?" And I'm sort of standing next to Gus, said, "That's uncalled for, that's not very nice." I went over, tapped Gussie on the shoulder, said, "Don't worry, Gus, you're going all right." Went and found my way back in the line. Next minute, the window opens again. "And take your fat mate with you." So, had a hell of a time at the Bulldogs. Great club, mate.
Very forgiving.
I loved it.
Very forgiving.
They're relentless.
Well, we weren't going particularly well, neither Gus or I in reserve grade, so they probably had good reason to do it, but it's not a bad story.
It's a good story. Well, not far from Origin, in fact, Women's Origin, 8 days away. Thursday coming, first night of Magic Round. The sides have been announced. There's a few surprises in the New South Wales team, and right after this, we're going to talk with one of the Blues stars.
So I heard you're back in town.
Footy's greatest rivalry is exclusive to Nine.
Both teams getting ready to do battle.
For the first time in Women's Origin history, a blockbuster 3-match series.
Don't let me, don't tell me I didn't warn you.
Ampol Women's State of Origin. Exclusive, live and free. Only on 9 and 9 now.
Yes, in the first of those games at Suncorp Stadium, what a place to start our 3-game series in Women's Origin. One of the Blues stars is joining us right now, Yasmin Clydsdale. Welcome to Freddy the Eighth, and congratulations on being picked. I'm sure this is hugely exciting for all of you.
Hi, yeah, it's super exciting to finally be able to announce the squad. I'm really looking forward to the 3-game series. It's the first time ever, so yeah, it should be really exciting this year.
Your halfback from Newcastle, Jessie Southwell, isn't there. Has that been a bit of a surprise to your teammates?
Yeah, definitely. But again, Jessie is such a strong, resilient player that, again, and I think everyone forgets how young she is. I think she'll only get better and stronger from this experience.
Yasmin, I just want to ask you a question about how they picked the side and what you guys are doing at the moment, because as most people know, the NRLW hasn't kicked off yet, and I think there would be a lot of people out there wondering how you girls are keeping yourself fit. You're playing games at the moment, aren't you? Look, you're in the middle of a football. Is it Tasha Gale?
No. Well, Tasha Gale's for under 19, so Harvey Norman is usually what we play, the competition we play. But that's not starting till NRLW starts. So this year we actually had a 7-week camp. So we kind of had 2 training sessions for 7 weeks, and then we had 3 internal games. And that was how our squad was selected.
Wow. That's a long campaign, so would have been pretty willing, some of those inter-squad games, knowing what's at stake.
Yeah, it was massive, and I think it was really good to get some game fitness, but also know that you're fighting for a position. It made it very competitive. So, yeah, we had 36 in the squad originally, and then that got down to 20.
All the talk has been around 3 games this year. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm so excited. I think last year winning a game but then losing the series was really hard, and it was bittersweet because we actually won that last game, but it felt like we'd lost. So it was kind of hard to celebrate a win, but we'd lost the series. So, again, having the 3 games, I'm really excited for it, and it's definitely, I think, what the women's games needs.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm actually at the Star Casino.
Right. Is that the male and female?
Yes.
Surprised you're not down on the tables.
Yeah.
I'm being responsible.
Oh, okay.
8 days till the game.
Yeah.
Do they give you an envelope? In the old days, they used to give us an envelope with cash in it. Do you still get the envelope with cash in it?
Of course they don't.
Come off it.
No?
No, not this year. Well, I haven't got one.
That's only if you play for the Roosters, Yasmin. Hey,
She did. She was next Rooster.
Suncorp Stadium. Now, I know there are still some tickets, but there won't be many left come next Thursday. You've played Origin. I know you've watched it over many years. Could you explain how exhilarating this is all going to be? Standalone Origin at Suncorp.
Yeah, I think it's going to be massive. Again, I'm so excited to be able to run out with the New South Wales Blues girls. It's always a privilege, but again, it's the hardest, fastest game that I've ever played in. And I think it's every year that I play, it just gets harder and faster.
I also think the timing of it is really good, considering the Magic round's on after it as well. It's going to be what 4 days it's going to be up in Brisbane. It's going to be phenomenal and great for you, because there's going to be you're going to have a lot of support up there.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. I really hope that we can fill the stadium out again. Last year we played up in Townsville and we broke records there for the standalone women's Origin game. I think we had 18 to 19,000 fans. So again, hoping to sell out another stadium and just build that atmosphere, even though it is in Queensland territory.
Now, last year, the first Origin was at Combank Stadium, and the quality of that game wasn't fantastic. Do you feel like your whole pre-season has been based around improving on last year's first Origin game?
Yep, definitely. Kylie's really incorporated some late night training sessions, but also having trial games at night time. That's okay. Having trial games at night time to make sure that we are ready if the ball is slippery and if we come into those conditions again. Whereas I don't think last year we were really prepared for it. And again, we only had Harvey Norman games, so having some high standard games before we play, I think will definitely set us up for a better sort of game.
Well, Yasmin, this is a red-hot Queensland team, as everyone knows, and they get the benefit of opening the series at Suncorp. But we wish you all the very best of luck, because I'm sure, as Freddie can attest to, there'd be no better feeling from a New South Wales perspective than winning an Origin up on enemy territory.
Yeah, I think so too. And hopefully we can just start really strong and win all 3 games.
Good luck. Thanks for your time. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
Yasmin Clydsdale joining us from the Baccarat tables there at the Star in Sydney.
She's getting greedy, wanting 3.
What about he gets an envelope of cash before he's going on
old
I only
days,
played 2 State of Origins. I can't recall getting that at any stage.
in the old days, it was like day 2, they'd come down, you'd get
Just expenses?
expenses, that cash. It was
Expenses,
like
3,000 for a day.
That's
right.
It was like in the 90s. So I think it was like $1,000 or something like that.
Is that
it would
a lot
be gone.
then?
Yeah, but it would be gone because you'd be playing games and it would go quick.
Now, I know your Origin career is somewhat contentious to a degree, but we don't ever really talk about it with any seriousness with you. When you look back on your career, you played 2 games for Queensland. Where do you rate that?
Oh, right up there, mate. I mean, I played, I think, the 6th game they ever played of State of Origin.
Yeah, right.
1983, the first game, and at that stage it was massive because Queensland won the early games, and it was still massive. And I think State of Origin has been built on the fact in those early days that Queensland did win. I think had New South Wales won comprehensively in those early days.
Very true.
I think it could have easily fallen through because New South Wales were beating Queensland all the time in the lead up to State of Origin, and if it was just going to be another one, New South Wales winning, I mean the whole concept could have just fallen through the cracks in the floor. But fortunately, I think for the rugby league and for Queenslanders, Queensland started brilliantly and won.
Yep. All right, we're going to talk a little bit about that and your wonderful time on the Footy Show later. Here's a Freddy the Eighth medal. Have we got votes from just Freddy this week? Because the Eighth... oh, look at this. I mean, he hasn't even given us his votes. Nicks off across the Pacific.
Well, it was his right arm. It was his riding arm
Right.
that he couldn't ride in his big 3.
How good's Katie Nicarima?
It's hard to argue
Killing
with
it.
those.
Talk about speed. He looks so fast. He's moving faster than everyone else on the field.
But he's also, he makes the right decisions. Some of the passing is just, it's incredible. Like, this is a good ball. Look at that ball. That's skill and touch. And that's stuff you'd do, Freddie. I mean, that is just brilliant from him. And he has become, he is probably the most underrated player in the game. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
He's becoming elite without a doubt. Like, obviously, And Drinkwater's a bit the same. They look very similar at the moment. They just move so well. They look so silky, you know, when they've got great balance. And but obviously, a lot of people are doing a lot of good stuff around Nicarima for him to be playing like that.
Elliot Whitehead came straight back into the Canberra team. Obviously, they got flogged down in Canberra. I can't believe they turned this around. In fact, I can't believe they won after trade. Honestly, they were going to put 70 on them.
Yeah, I think a couple of things happened. I think Manly stopped playing a little bit. I do, and this bloke, Elliot Whitehead, was just phenomenal. Look at that. I mean, that's
first came back after a long time.
And wearing the white shirt. I mean, he looks like he's a Pommy might have a little bit of podginess there, but he looks pretty good.
Well, here's the opposite.
Well, what about this bloke? Mate, he was 2-3 years ago he was going to be anything, and then he had the problem, and then I mean now he's got a kicking game. It's incredible.
Look at that.
Well, he's always been a good player. I think we've always known that, Freddie. Have you had him in Blues sides?
Mate, I had him as a young bloke. Had him in like a Pathways. Had him in Blue squad. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is, when he's motivated, he is such an athlete, as in big, strong, powerful, fast, and he showed that all on the weekend. I loved his interview with Danica. I think it was Danica. It's just coming off, and at half time, and he said the question was, what's the job in the second half when you come back? And he said, we've got to set it up and then we go to work. I mean, that's like that looked like the mentality of the Roosters. We're going to work.
They've changed, haven't they? I reckon the last few weeks the Roosters they've found something that I don't think they've had for a few years, and they're now putting good sides away. And Broncos are a decent side, and I know they had a couple of injuries, but mate, they put them away like most sides can't do, and they were really good last week.
Well, they got confidence out of what happened on Anzac Day. Blues aren't exactly flush with forward stocks for this year. He's got to be right in the frame, Crichton, after what he's done the last month.
I think he'll be there.
Who are the other back rows? Liam Martin.
Well, Olakawati. I suppose I'm thinking more around middle forwards. They're not entirely flush for depth.
Gus has played both, actually. He's played middle for Origin and on an edge as well. Actually, most of those forwards, Liam Martin's the same. So Olakawatu's most probably the just a whole right back rower. Liam, Gus on your left, and then you got Liam who can play both. Pretty strong.
Yeah, they won't be short of a forward, I don't think. I imagine Isaiah
Front rows
Yeo
is a big one.
Oh, well, props they're not.
Front rows. So
really.
you got the Parramatta boys, and then you got Payne.
Well, Payne Haas will be there.
And then you got the Safitis, and then it's
the question around the Parramatta guys, they haven't gone that good, and the team's not going very good. And the Safiti boys have had a combination of injury and form. So I'm not sure that there's anything really set in stone there at the moment.
Your bloke. What about Lindsay Collins? Yeah, good to see.
He's awesome.
He's gone from being like almost a part-time first grader to an international, hasn't he? In the space of a couple of years. But I don't know the bloke, never met him in my life. But he looks a hell of a good bloke too. I think the blokes love him.
He's a ripper.
He's everywhere too. Like he's mopping up balls and covering tackles.
He scored that try last year against your team, wasn't it? Like in that, did he score the try or did he catch the ball?
Caught the bomb and threw it to someone.
That's right. I mean,
there was a scene on the weekend.
He outjumped Freddie. Not Freddie. Outjumped Teddy.
There was a scene on the weekend where he saved one in the end goal. I think he sort of reached up to get the ball. He looked 12 foot tall. He just was. There was no one else getting the ball. It was just him.
All right, ahead of Dolphins Manly to kick off round 10. We like having a bit of fun with our players when we get the chance to have a chat with them. The question this week: what Olympic sport would they play if they weren't a rugby league player?
What's that one called with the horses where you prance around on the horses? Equestrian. Because I reckon I'd have a good shot. Because it's the horse doing the work, not me.
Now that cricket's coming into it, I'm choosing that.
100 metre sprint. I have to go the 100 metre. It's easy, bro. It's over in 10 seconds.
I'll be a 100 metre sprinter. Me and Bolt.
Yeah, that would help.
10 seconds, 14 seconds, bro.
Yeah, 14.
Nah, bat, mate. Bat, yeah, I'm not bowling.
He's buying the stumps too.
Yeah, and keeping. I'm not moving.
Shot put or something.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that.
But I'd love to go like a 100 metre sprint.
If you're good at it, yeah.
What would you go, tennis?
I'll probably go tennis. But like if you're choosing like an Olympic event to win, you're probably going 100 final.
100 metres. Quick,
You get smoked, boy.
No, boy.
You get smoked.
I mean, 100 metres. I'll go there 200.
I go wrestling.
Well, clearly the Hammer's going to be a sprinter, isn't he?
100. He said 200.
Yeah. It might just need a little bit of time to hit top gear.
geez, they're going to be a good side when he comes back. They've got a Flagler to come back, him.
Yeah.
Herbie's back this week.
Herbie's back. Bromwich is back.
Who was the fastest bloke going around when you were playing?
I don't know. I didn't. Most front rows were faster than me, so I can't recall, mate.
There was two.
Probably Larry Corowa.
Yeah.
I'd say Larry Corowa from Balmain in those days.
Eric Grove?
Eric Growth probably
Wasn't
fast
the
as well.
quickest.
But he was just a wrecking ball. Eric Growth, what a player he was, and a good bloke too. Terry Fay, he was like Eric Growth to a certain extent. He was. I remember we played Canberra down in Canberra one day, and we kicked off, and he caught it, and he ran straight at me, and I had about probably 5 seconds to work out what I was going to do. And I thought, what am I going to do here? So
what did you do?
Close my eyes and hope for the best, basically. Somehow I tackled him. I don't know how.
He was a beast of a
But
man.
Terry Fay, he was a big bugger.
So the quickest?
Yeah.
So you got, I reckon, about 4. So Marno Fire.
Oh.
Lee Odenroyd.
They had a match race.
I remember that. Lee. Shane Werrett.
Yeah.
I played against Darren Clark.
For Balmain.
400-metre running. He was in a final of a 400 in the Olympics, I think, wasn't
Commonwealth Games, I think.
Did he win the Commonwealth Games? Did he make the final of the 400?
I think he might have.
At the Olympics?
I think he might have.
Did he?
Maybe not.
Don't know.
I've got some blank looks coming back.
I don't know.
I don't think he did.
He definitely can
There's a
get
couple
well
of
to
fast
Com
dudes.
Games, yeah.
Martin O'Fire.
You played with him?
I remember the match race.
Yeah, I used to play Martin. He used to run across. Ellery Hanley used to do it too. They'd get the ball and skip across.
Yeah.
My God. Like they were just...
Was he fast, Ellery?
Yeah, like he moved
He
so
loved
well.
Ellery. He used to have his jumper.
Ellery was
Balmain
good.
jumper.
Oh, mate, what a player he was.
He was so good.
That was the great thing about the British tours out here. They play all the club teams, and you could have those things at half time. That was grassroots footy back in the day. Now, Darryl, we do many stupid things on this show. I think this is right up there with them.
I think I know Darryl's sport.
Greco-Roman wrestling. Have to oil him up first.
What are you doing? You're talking about sport in the Olympics.
No,
Yes.
These are just crazy sports.
So this is for the Freddy the Eighth game. This is called Skijoring. Common in Scandinavian countries, originated as a way to travel behind reindeer. Skijoring behind reindeer became a sport at the Stockholm Nordic Games in 1901. North Americans now use horses as a popular feature at winter festivals. So, as far as I can see here, you ski behind a horse.
Well, what did they have before?
Reindeer.
Well, reindeers wouldn't be that quick, would they?
I wouldn't have thought so, no.
Maybe they wouldn't have been able to pull them along, so they got up on their
I reckon
feet.
they'd beat most things out there.
Reindeers?
Well, what else is out there? What else is surviving out there?
Bears?
Yeah, but they're not mobile. They're not fast.
Probably.
Look at this.
There'd be other things like...
Darryl, you don't have a great record with skiing, do you?
well, no, I'm not good at skiing, but I'm
Particularly
probably
water
better
skiing.
Well, I'm not good at any skiing, mate. We tried it on the footy show occasionally, but that's not...
Look at the old straight legs.
Oh,
Big
he just
legs.
threw himself on the
That's the
ground.
fat. Who's that there? Who is that?
Chief.
That's a chief. Oh, no. I can't remember doing this.
Uh-oh. You're supposed to stick
Mate,
your legs out.
Well, have I got skis on? I don't even know if I had skis on there.
Your
I had
belly
no
flopped.
chance. I mean, it's just a G-up. Mate, I was always going to do a belly flop. I've never been skiing in my life.
What about scootering? Were you any good at that?
Well, you have evidence here I'm not.
Look out.
Well, you know what I did.
Slow down, Big Marn.
I went too
Hit
fast.
the brake.
Well, what have you done?
See, that was a match race, and I was desperate to win, but I went too fast early. Like, I've never been on a motorbike either. I had no choice, and it was either turn the corner and land or go into the fence. So I went into the fence. I thought I'd hit the ground a bit easier.
What if the fence came
It didn't work.
You would have ended up down the hill.
I would have ended up down in the
In the car park.
harbour. It would have been in the river somewhere in the harbour. I mean, there's a decent drop behind
That's a
that
drop,
too.
isn't it? Yeah, that is a big drop.
That's why I thought, oh, I'm in trouble here. So.
You're wobbling at the start.
Well, you know what happened? I've never ridden a motorbike, and I know your right hand or your left hand, one of them's the accelerator and one's the brake, right? So I had no idea which was which. So instead of going 50-50, I just thought I'd just go...
I thought it looked like a berm to you, like you actually...
I was thinking I could have nearly finessed it a bit better and come off the fence and come back down.
Did you just get back on and keep going?
Gee, that would have been good. Now, you suffered a serious injury.
Yeah, I broke my rib. My mother rang me the next day and said, Darryl, we saw you. Mum was living in Brisbane. She said, "Oh, Darryl, we saw you on the motorbike last night." I said, "Yeah, Mum, I think I've got a broken rib. I'm all right, though." She said, "Oh, no, we're not worried about that." He said, "Just me and your father laughed." And we I said, "Oh, yeah, it was funny, Mum."
Thanks, Mum.
Glad you thought it was funny.
Thanks for your support.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. We've got some more Darryl gold coming up. West Tigers. Now, 900,000 for Stefano? 900,000.
Who's offering
They're
that?
saying if he wants to stay at the club, or if they want him to stay, to asking price of around 900 grand. Now, this is paper talk, of course, but the market is such that it's all pretty much in favour of the player at the moment. Now, Darryl, he's obviously an emerging talent, and Brad picked him in Origin last year, but that's a lot of money.
23. Yeah. I wouldn't be paying him 900,000. Look, he started the year really well for the Tigers. I thought, he's only a boy, this kid, and he started really well. He's got an offload. He can find the try line. Here's a try. He scores here. But I thought the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think he's been a bit disappointing. He hasn't had a lot of game time, and I think that's probably an indication that Benji's
900.
probably a little bit, thinking, I don't know. So who's offering him 900?
Well, the talk is that is the figure he's going to want to stay at the West Tigers. Now, a bit like David Fifita, I'm sure there's going to be interest in other clubs if he wants to explore the market.
Isn't there something to do with if he gets picked in State of Origin?
It's something to do with that, yeah.
I'm sure there's a
and if they
scenario where, if he gets picked in Origin,
his salary goes up?
No, I think it's more the fact is that his contract, because he's got a contract for next year, hasn't he?
Yes, but that's dependent on whether they make the finals. There's all sorts of weird clauses in it.
I thought it was like on the Tigers side, they were saying that if you make Origin, therefore we're doing our job as,
we're playing all right, we're helping you along.
Exactly. That the next year just obviously gets ignited by that. But anyway.
See, there was a theory, it was probably only 5 or 6 years ago, no one pays the front rowers the big dollars, but that's changed.
Ooh, front rowers.
Payne Haas, if you classify him as a front row, which I don't. Stefano, I mean, there's a number of them
Fisher
out there on the
Harris.
big bucks. Fisher Harris.
Adam Fanor-Blake would have got big money to go to Dragons. You know what?
Well, he's gone to the show.
You look at the team that wins comps, they've got the best front rowers.
Yeah, that's true. They're valuable. You've got to have them, mate. I mean, Fanor-Blake's a super player.
Yeah.
And so's Fisher Harris. They're all super players. I just worry about Stefano a little bit. I thought he started really well this year, but I've been a bit disappointed in the last few weeks.
The last couple of weeks, yeah.
It's hard to be the best front row every week. That's why, like, Jared, you look at Jared. I reckon for about 10 years he was the dominant front row. Fisher Harris has done it now for about 4 or 5 years. So that's you've got to be a really tough person.
In this new
mindset.
style game too, that's out there. See that both those blokes would have been legends 20 years ago. I mean, and I'm not saying like in your era, around your era, they would have been legendary, and they are legendary now. But they've managed to modify their game to fit in to what's required these days, and that just shows what super players they are.
So Benji as coach, Brad, I know that they haven't had results go their way the last few weeks, but this is a much more formidable Tigers outfit than we've seen in the last few years. Like that they are showing resilience, and they're competitive. They're not getting blown away.
I think round 20, 21, is going to be more telling. At the moment, I think they could have been better. There's the 2 games I've seen out at Campbelltown, I was really disappointed. I think the team had to get up for them. They had full crowds. That's that's part of their future is moving out there. I thought surely the team had to get up for that. So I'm thinking you just need to give them a bit more time, give the blokes a bit more opportunity to play together, and I reckon we start, sort of questioning later in the season when they've had more time to play together. Most of these teams wouldn't have played, they barely played games together. So, and then I think there's some players there that need to show that they want to be there. There's some big players like Papali'i, Bateman, these sort of blokes who are on good money, they're leaders, that need to show that. I don't think they're showing that.
Yeah, I think you're pretty right. I think the fact that Appy's missed, he missed last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's such a good player.
He's a good player.
And he's just got to be there. If they're going to fire, you're going to need your best players on the field, and he's probably their best player. They'll miss the halfback. Caesar's out for 3 or 4 weeks now, I understand, with the hip drop offence. And he's actually surprised me, Caesar, how well he's gone. I think he's directed them around the park pretty well. But they've got to get a bit more out of everyone there, I reckon. And they're off the pace at the moment. They've lost a few in a row now, and they don't want that to end up being about 8 or 9 in a row because that would just devastate them.
Yeah.
They need to. They've got a game they could win this weekend. They've got to put everything into this game.
And they've built some momentum, haven't they?
Yeah, well,
like they've sort of everyone
sort of have, yeah.
They've built a bit of hope.
They have built.
They've had some really good performances, but that's when it's now. You need to win a couple.
I do like the 5'8".
Galvin, but that's a problem. Like you talk about, the leadership. We're relying on a 19-year-old kid to be the star. Like obviously a lot gets created around Happy, but Galvin was out for a week, and it was like everyone's going, "Oh God, we've got to get him back." Like serious.
I like the look. No, don't know him, but I love the look of him because you see vision
player.
before they go out on the paddock.
He's pretty chilled.
He is chilled, mate. He's smiling and he's talking to the blokes. So he wouldn't have known half of those boys, 6 months ago. Now he's sort of leading them around the park. I like the look of him. I think he's a real prospect for the future.
Yeah.
It's good to see Jaden Sullivan do something this week.
Yeah, when there are big expectations. And, it's time to stand up. A few of those boys, I reckon it's time to stand up.
After the break, some of the Big Marn gold. In fact, on the way to the break, some Big Marn gold. And also we'll have a look at our games that we're covering on 9 this weekend in round 10 of the NRL.
We have Gina Reinhart on the cover of The Big Issue, but look what happens when we add a moustache. It's Darryl! Yes, it is, Big Marn.
What does coal use to create?
Ice and water. I came in like a wrecking ball.
All right, Darryl, you're looking pretty solid back there at fullback, champ. You've got to catch this, OK, and then you've got to sprint 100 metres, score a try.
I shan't be doing that.
Righto.
In the film Wizard of Oz, what's the girl's name? So think of a girl's name that rhymes with Dorothy.
Dorothy?
Who?
Dorothy?
Dorothy. No, that's good though. I like it, but not Dorothy.
Dorothy?
He said Dorothy.
I meant Dorothy.
Who?
Dorothy.
Dorothy. No. Yeah.
Dorothy?
Dorothy. Yeah.
Dorothy.
Yes.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
How good was that?
Well, mate, it's not that hard to rhyme with. What was it?
Dorothy.
Dorothy. I mean, there's only one thing.
He said
both
Dorothy.
of them said Dorothy. It's Dorothy. It's easy.
Was that good fun?
Oh, it was great, mate. It was great. I used to do it every Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
And it was funny. After I did them, I'd come home and I'd sometimes think, you know what, that was really, really, really good. And they were always pretty good. And other times I think, it wasn't that good, but they're genius. It's at Channel 9. They cut it up so it was always pretty good.
Kids are funny.
Oh, it was funny.
You don't know what they're going to say.
They're honest, mate.
Yeah.
They're honest. They sometimes tell the truth.
You got to get them relaxed, though, because a few of them are kid dancing and sometimes you sit down in front of kids and you don't get boo out of them.
No. When they're with their mates, they tend to loosen up a little bit. And the thing with that was when we were recording it, in the old days, sometimes you'd have the parents sort of standing watching, and in the end we had to bar the parents from being there because they'd affect what the kids say. And it's always been funny.
Won't be long until you can have your little grandson Harley doing a small talk with the Big Marn.
Well, there's a little way. How good looking was I?
You were a good-looking rooster back then.
Oh no,
not that one.
Yeah. I did lose some weight after that, I must admit. I was in the jaw.
That's what happens when you can't eat.
Jaw wide for about 6 months. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, the old school jerseys as well. Yes, little Harley's come along. You've got ever-expanding family. You're doing some great stuff on the radio. Darryl and I do the work together on the radio every week too, which is always very good fun. He's still in great form.
Yeah, a chance to listen to our great calls at 5:30
We're very good.
on Saturday Arbos.
I didn't realise, actually, but I'll start to listen. 5:30 Saturdays.
Yeah, we do the second game, don't we? We do a lot of great stuff.
There's a Big Marn kicking in general play.
Henry Foster, remember the old Fuzzy?
Yep.
Great man. Geez, this is... that's when I was in the bank, I'd
Where
say.
did we
Did
find
a lot
all
of
this
great
from?
stuff in the bank. I don't know. Greg Brentnell.
Oh, you're about to absolutely nail Greg Brentnell.
Is a dislocated shoulder.
Have you never not had a moustache?
When I was born, I didn't have it. Mate, I shaved it off about 10 years ago for a little while, and you know what I looked? It made me look fat.
It's slimming,
So,
no question.
Yeah, so I've decided to go back to the moustache.
Is a Mo slimming?
Very slim.
Is
In
it?
my
In Darryl's
my life,
opinion.
it is, yes. I had a fat face, so I grew it. So that's it, basically.
Oh, very good, very good. And no doubt winning a premiership was... well, actually, before that, you won the Rothmans medal in Brisbane.
Brisbane, yeah.
So there was competing Rothmans medals.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know
There
that.
was one in Brisbane, there was one in Sydney. Yeah,
And
that
you were
was
19, weren't you?
1976, yeah, 19, I won it. We came last, my side, Norths.
There's another thing I haven't commented.
What?
I think I won a Rothmans medal too.
Did you win a Rothmans medal? Get some
Yes.
skin. Have you still got it?
Not sure.
Because I was, you're not sure.
Sorry, a Rothmans medal, how did that differ to...
Referees.
Like
The referee used to
Yeah.
vote for the Rothmans medal.
Right, right.
And
And you ran last and won it.
Well, we ran last. I got 1 point every game because I was our best player. So they used to give 1 point to the losing side just about every year. So I accumulated about 15 one-pointers and won it. So it ended up being good. It was a great night. Mate, you should have seen the nights there.
Well-
Rothmans medal nights. Oh, stop it.
Because in the old days for the Rothmans medal, what you used to do, the doctors all went in Sydney. So Norm used to go. So if you're in contention, you'd take our doctor down, Norm Southern, who's...
Why'd you take the doctor?
It was just part of the thing. That was part of the
team,
Rothmans
mate.
medal. And so every doctor would go. And so you'd go down and get on the drink with Norm. I've got some good stories there.
One of the greats, Norm.
Norm
But in
Southern,
the old days
we
in
salute.
Brisbane, like, I know, obviously, it just shows you how far the world has come. You'd go and sit on the table, there'd be about 14 million packets of
All the durries.
You know,
goodness.
you know, just all that stuff there and whatever. I wasn't a smoker. I just tried to steal some.
Thursday night footy. Let's get into
I'll
our
take
games.
anything.
Live and free from 7:30 from Suncorp Stadium. Dolphins, Manly. They're just so hard to beat, the Dolphins.
Oh,
Doesn't matter who they play, they're so professional.
They complete high and they're good defensively. I think they're down to about 15 points a game. The Dolphins,
That's a good record.
That's a great record.
Penrith have won comps for conceding 12, 13 points.
Absolutely. There's a few teams now. Cronulla are setting the pace. Penrith had a few. They got beat convincingly by Manly. But the Dolphins are up there. You've got to have good defence. You can't put too much pressure on your attack, and that's why the Nicaraemas now are starting to shine, and that's without Farmworth and the fullback Hammer. And
It's amazing
they're
what
going
they've
good.
done. When you consider, like, I'm not saying they're a team of rejects, but you hadn't heard really, a few of them had been to a very few clubs.
Journeyman.
But then they got that group from the Melbourne Storm up there, like just old heads, you know, who just...
You notice that
along with
Kafusi on the
Bennett.
weekend just adds that little bit of spite to the team.
Yeah, but along with Bennett, they've added so much to them. He's a good player, Kafusi. And Bennett, did you ever coach you?
No.
Smart coach. That was smart recruitment, wasn't it? You get professionals who are probably towards the back end to help you build your culture, and they're not far from bowing out now, but clearly they've left an imprint on the way the Dolphins go about doing things up there.
Well, you know, and there's I would imagine if I'm a current player and I'm off contract and I'm looking somewhere to go, I mean, maybe you would have said a couple of years ago, I'm not going to the Dolphins, they're going to get snapped, but now they're an option for you if you want to go up there and play in a side that's, well, they're certainly well coached. They will be well coached when he leaves.
Yeah. You know what they did too? They created competition early. So they initially had Milford there and Sean O'Sullivan. They were sort of just penned in. First game, Katoa, and I'm not sure, Milford come off the bench. Maybe O'Sullivan played. But now at the moment, you've got Nicarima and Katoa. Well, there's competition there for position, so you're actually getting the best out of the
You
blokes.
know what? For all the young guns in the comp, they get adulation and they deserve it. Mate, this kid Katoa,
good player.
He is a superstar
You know what?
in the
He's
making.
actually, no one talks about him.
He is. He is doing things like controlling teams he's 20 years old.
He's got the lot, mate. He's got a great kicking game. Really, really good kicking game. He defends well. He puts blokes into space. You're right. He is underrated. They've got a number of underrated players there.
He's only a baby. Yeah. Friday night footy. Para, reckon they got some out. No Moses, no Gutherson. The young Blaze Talangi, who I notice has decided to explore his options on the free market. Hasn't triggered an extension with Parramatta. So here's another one who I'm sure will be in hot demand. Up against Brisbane without Adam Reynolds, but everyone else is pretty much there for them.
Yeah, I think Brisbane will win. Just on the fullback, I'm just wondering where he wants to play. I think as a junior he was a 5'8", wasn't he?
I think so.
You know, maybe that might be where he wants to play, and that might be the reason he's having a look around. You know.
Is he? Yeah. Well, either way,
Centre.
well, either way, fullback or 5'8", they're well and truly covered there at the
He's
moment.
getting an opportunity. You know what? Anyway, geez, they go quick.
He's going to need
They
it.
leave quick. When he's come up as a kid, Parramatta giving him an opportunity.
Yeah.
And their managers are out flogging him to other clubs.
I suppose that's their job, though.
Yeah, I know. I think it's... what happens is there becomes a flaw because, you know, you're constantly looking.
Yeah.
Constantly looking for someone who wants to pay you more, or in this situation it might be a positional thing, I don't know. But...
Yeah.
Is there a bloke currently playing that's sort of ignored all the stuff on the outside and just stuck with the one side, even though they've been off?
There's lots of them.
Squillions elsewhere.
You look at all the blokes like Munster and that. You know, every now and then their managers come out and pop their head up, but generally, all the good players generally stay at the club, unless there's absolutely something wrong. But the best players very rarely travel too far.
Yeah, it's hard to put an old head on young shoulders too, isn't it? You know, particularly those Penrith boys.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, as you said, there's been a number of them leave in the last 3 or 4 years. You know, I reckon if they had their time over again, they might have wanted to. I reckon comps are worth more than money.
Big question is, can Brisbane make the 4 without Adam Reynolds? 3 months. Their history says you don't make the 4, you're done. Can they make the 4 without him?
I think yes, but it's not going to be easy for them. They'll need to find a halfback, and the boy they've got this week, you were saying before, he's a really good defensive player.
Rogers.
Josh Rogers.
That's because Jock Madden, who would be normally the back.
Rib cartilage.
Yeah.
He's played well too, Jock Madden, when
he's done really well.
But I think his job will be just shovel the ball out. You know, maybe, I don't know if he's got a great kicking game or what the story is with him.
I think he's like he's controlled Queensland Cup team, so...
Well, if he's done that...
They don't need flair.
Well, they've got
heaps
of
of
it.
flair.
You know, like the 5'8", the fullback, I mean, they've got enough of it. You know, and they're a quality side. I think they can overcome the loss of him.
He's playing behind Payne Haas too, which is a big advantage. And of course, Sunday footy up on the Gold Coast, the Titans have been trying their proverbials off. Can they jag a win against the up and down Cowboys? Now, if you can work them out, you're a better man than me.
I have worked the Cowboys out, I reckon. I don't think they're much good. I don't think they'll make the 8. I've watched them intently the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I know they've won the odd. Well, here's a game where they did beat the Titans, but other than that,
have a look at the score.
Yeah, well, yeah, mate. Other than that, I think they've been they got hammered by Cronulla. They lost last week, game they probably should have won. They played well against Penrith. They came back against Penrith, but they're not consistent enough. I don't think they're fast enough.
It's hard to spot where they're going wrong. Like, I look at their team and I just think, wow.
Well, 2 halves are good players.
Yeah.
Fullback's a really good player. He's developed into a really good player.
I don't defend
Val
them.
Holmes.
They're just getting unreliable. Just getting a bit sloppy. It's costing them.
I think they've been really particularly disappointing last year. You know, and I thought they'd overcome that and make the 8. They might still do that. They're not out of the running by any means, but they still worry me. I think they're probably they're one of the more disappointing sides in the comp, I reckon.
Who are you tipping this week?
I'm not tipping them. I'm tipping the Titans.
I'll tell you who hasn't been disappointing. Big Marn.
Yeah, I've done great stuff here today.
Great stuff from you.
Thanks. You ready?
Thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Great to see you.
Lovely to see you guys.
I'm sure Joe will be tuning in to see how well you went.
You know what? I'm very glad I'm first cab off the ranks. They don't get anyone else.
They won't. Unfortunately, our budget has been exhausted by getting you on this week. Yeah. Thanks, Freddie. See you at the footy. Thanks for watching Freddy The Eighth. Back next week.
You're worth it. This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights, action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour. Grab a seat on the couch for that. And, of course, my favourite, Freddy the Eighth.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.